Hey guys, I wanted to go ahead and show you something this morning as before I got the video started. This is my entire backyard. It just keeps going and going and going. It's ridiculously huge and it's not fun to cut. But I'm showing you this for a purpose. When we first were looking to buy homes, we were living in a fairly nice apartment at the time. And it wasn't that we were just looking for any kind of home. The home that I was looking for was somewhere where I wanted to raise our kids and bring in family and friends and host parties and events.
So I didn't show you the backyard to go ahead and boast or brag at all. That wasn't the purpose. It has a greater purpose to it, which you'll understand in just a moment. When we did start looking at homes, I could have easily said, I just want to find a home. I want to get out of an apartment. I just want to find a place that is in an okay neighborhood, has a decent school district, and is just a home. I just want to own something. And that would have been fine. But the reality is that that's not what I wanted. I didn't want a secondhand home. I didn't want a home that was foreclosure that I needed to fix up. I didn't want a home that was in a mediocre area. And I wanted it to be 2 stories. Now, for a first-time home buyer, that probably seems very aggressive. A lot of people probably would have told me that, yeah, the likelihood of that happening is slim to none. But there's a secret that I'm going to share with you in a moment when it comes to having greater aspiration for something with greater aspiration for something and not really having a backing to kind of go with it. So I'll share that with you in a moment. So when we went house hunting, we looked at a lot of places. I looked at a lot of places online. I looked at a lot of places way out in the outskirts of the city. We shopped around for quite some time. And of course, one of the greatest barriers for us was our credit. We were new. We were trying to learn how the whole housing market worked. And, we had some work and some things to do. But time passed and we finally were able to find a home. Not just a home, but just, somewhere where we could build it from the absolute ground up. And not only was it just a home, it was a place where we could turn it into our dream home. It was in a fantastic school district. It had everything that I wanted and so much more. And the land that we got on our street, we have the biggest plot on our entire street. And what I find so miraculous about this is that when I prayed to God about wanting to have a home, He knew the desire of my heart. I spoke it to Him daily. And even when we were building the home, every Sunday we would go out, we would go pray over the land because this is what we wanted. I didn't just want a place where we could just lay our head. I wanted a true home. I wanted a place where I could bring my family and raise them. I wanted a place where we could host holiday parties and create these everlasting memories. So I knew that it would be, I knew I wanted it to be something that I could create to truly be our own. So when we were going through the process of getting the home, and this is part of the secret I was talking about earlier, we didn't tell anybody what we were doing. They knew we were possibly looking at homes. And of course we heard a lot of, oh, it's going to be difficult. These are some things you're going to go through. And when I bought my home, I went through this. When I bought my home, I went through that. But I wasn't interested in anybody else's experience. I wasn't interested in the negative things that happened in their past experience. Because the reality is that while it was informative and while I, took some of that information to help us through our better use, I didn't make it a priority as if it were to be my experience as well. And that is one of the key things that you have to embed in your mind when you have a dream about something. Because a lot of times, because it's not someone else's dream or because it doesn't make sense to them, people will naturally try to discourage you, your own family and friends, and they don't mean to do it out of spite. It's just they speak upon their own experience. Well, I knew what I wanted. I knew what I wanted for my family, and I didn't even want to invite the idea of negativity, so we kept it a secret. And as you become more successful in anything, whether it's your job or wanting to travel more, or wanting to do certain things that other people around you aren't doing, you will find eventually that you will find yourself saying mum about certain things that go on in your life. It's not that you don't want to include them, but just the idea of bringing negative thought where you have nothing but positive thoughts flowing through can deter you from your goal. So, while I'm sure my family and my friends would have absolutely supported me no matter what we did, I had a greater goal in mind. I didn't care that I was a first-time home buyer. I didn't care that my credit wasn't that fantastic. I didn't care that, we didn't have all of the money up front. I knew what I wanted. I knew what God put in my heart, and I knew that if I prayed and I believed and I had a radical faith, that it would come to pass. So not only did we get the home of our dreams, not only did we go ahead and get everything that we were wanting and more. We ended up getting like a free grill and a free TV and a few little upgrades here and there to the home that we weren't even expecting. And that's what radical faith is all about, is believing in the dream that God put into your heart, no matter what current circumstances, are there standing against you. It's having the belief that nothing can deter you from the goal that you have set within your own mind and within your own heart. And a lot of times this is a foreign concept to people, because when we have a dream or something, we want affirmation from the people that are around us, and that's the wrong way to go, because the only person that needs to affirm you is God. He's the one who put that dream into your heart, not your friend, not your mom, not your best friend, not your sister. He put that dream within you. So you have to make a concise decision to say, God, I'm going to trust the dream that you put in my heart. I'm going to trust that, since you put it here, it will come to fruition, and I'm not going to settle for just a mediocre version of that dream. I'm going to go for the full Monty. And the fact is that a lot of times we feel like we're not deserving of that. And that is where mediocre starts to settle in. We feel like, oh, well, I didn't have this and I didn't have that, and I'm just going to thank the Lord Jesus that I just got this much done. And sometimes that suffices, but that's not having radical faith. That's not having the kind of faith where you start seeing God do magical things in your life. You have to be in a position where where you're giving it all up to Him, where you're not concerned about the current circumstances, but you're looking forward to the future ending, to the happy ending. And for me, that's what it was all about. We didn't finally tell people about what we were doing in our home up until, I think, right before closing, right before we actually were about to close the home. I think I finally told my mom. Tim was finally telling his parents, and they were really proud of us. They were like, wow, you guys are really doing something great. And when I brought my mom to finally see the plot, see the home, because it was still in the midst of being built, I didn't want her to see it with just the land. I didn't want, because my vision wasn't her vision. But when I finally brought her to see it, I could see that the tears were welling in her eyes, and she was so proud of me. And she was like, Yanchi, this is so great that you've been able to accomplish this at such a young age. And I was like, it wasn't really me, Mom. It was God. I've had a dream in my heart, but I just believed that this is what we wanted. This is what we deserved. And I wasn't going to settle for anything less. And that's what you have to do in your life. You want to see miraculous things happen. You want to see, these awesome changes occur in your life. You have to go ahead and absolutely believe that no matter what, it can occur for you. You just have to just stand up in faith. Sometimes, and sometimes that's all you have. The circumstances may not be right at all. Everything may be absolutely against you, but that doesn't mean that it can't happen. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of God. That's the beauty of radical faith. Just because it's not the right time, it's not the right place, doesn't mean that it isn't meant for you. So while, it was a process to get our home, actually it was a total of maybe 6 to 7 months total between fixing our credit, getting everything right, getting the money. I mean, everything ended up aligning perfectly. Where we didn't have the down payment, all of a sudden something happened for us to get the down payment. Where we thought our credit wasn't going to be right, God aligned us with the right person to go ahead and fix our credit. Where we thought that, the housing market was absolutely terrible and our interest rate was going to be through the roof, we ended up getting an interest rate at a historically low rate that refinancing wouldn't even make sense at all, ever. It wouldn't make any sense. So God doesn't just want to bless you, with the hopes and dreams that you have. He wants to provide your dream to you in an abundance. He wants to bless you where your cup is overflowing. And that's what radical faith does for you. You have to be able to believe that your dream is deserving of more. Not just, not that he just wants to suffice your needs, not that just he's going to just bring that little bit to pass, but that he is going to overflow your cup, and that's what that backyard represents for me. Every time I go out there, I am just in awe of what God has done for us, because he could have just given me, the house that I wanted or that I had dreamed of, and, giving me just a little bit of land, just like all the rest of my neighbors. But he's surrounded me, around all these beautiful homes in this beautiful environment, in a neighborhood that's fantastic, but with a yard that we can do so much in. I mean, I can build a pool, build a whole outside kitchen area, gazebo, and a child space, for the kids to have a playground in, and I would still have room. That is an overflowing of abundance, and that is solely because of God. And I wanted to speak today on that, because a lot of people feel, especially in today's time and economy and all the things that are going on, like they're not deserving of that. And you're a child of God. You are absolutely deserving of that. You just have to be able to change the mindset that you're in and start tuning out the negative thoughts. If you have a good thought about something, if you have a dream that you're willing to come to pass, but that someone may not support you on it, don't tell anybody. Don't do it. I know that, sometimes we look for the support from certain people, but the fact is that if you remotely think anywhere in your mind that that person may be slightly negative towards the dream that you have, keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself until that dream comes to pass. Because the last thing that you want is that, especially in the beginning stages of you having a dream, where there's a lot of doubt, where you don't have a foundation, where, you're not really sure how something is going to come to pass, you do not need anything negative coming into your mind at all. That it will absolutely deter you, and it will keep you in the same place you are, because you're comfortable where you are right now. In order to get where you want to be, you got to get uncomfortable. And, we put ourselves in a very uncomfortable position when it came to buying that home. It was there was a strong possibility that maybe we would not have gotten the home. There were a lot of odds that were against us, but I didn't allow that to take root. I didn't explain those negative possible circumstances to any of my friends. I didn't explain that to my mom, my sister, anybody. Why? Because I didn't want any encouragement of, oh, well, yeah, I've heard about that too, and I've got a friend that happened to, and well, this happened to me. I didn't want to hear any of it. I stay focused on my goal. I prayed about it daily. I continued to go out to that plot every single Sunday to pray about it. And lo and behold, here we are almost 2 years later, and still our brand new home, and we're still building upon it. We're still fixing it. We're still doing things to the interior of it to make it our absolute dream home. And that's what it all comes down to. No matter what your dream is, whatever it is that you want to do, believe that it belongs to you. Believe that it's yours, and do whatever it takes to get there. And don't let anyone or anything discourage you from doing so. So I hope that this really resonated with somebody, because I know that somebody out there really needed to hear this today. So as always, you can reach us on Facebook, facebook.com, Dreamcatchers United. Talk to you guys soon. Till then.